Hello, it's Castor here, and today we are going to be doing a jungle tier list. In this jungle tier list, I have the essentially anyone who's a viable jungler right now. I'm not going to be including very edge picks like Medusa, for example, or Ymir. So let's get right into it. Alright? The first one we have is we have Achilles. And oh wait, before we start, actually, let me explain the roles. Godlike here is essentially they're completely busted. They're broken in every way, shape, and form. Top tier are the top tiers of the meta. Strong, they're strong in the meta, and I'm pretty sure, it balances out eventually. Below average, it's mostly below average. I mean, I put the tiers in a way where they really don't have to be explained. Except, I guess, this one. Because this one's more so like a SMITE reference. But let's get into it. Achilles, not the greatest right now. There's a lot of people who outperform him in the jungle. He is a better solo laner than jungler right now. But other junglers just have better bursts on him. His itemization isn't as great right now. So, for those reasons, I'm going to be placing him in below average. Amaterasu, primarily the same thing. A lot of junglers outperform Amaterasu in the jungle, primarily assassins and two magical gods. Assassins provide a lot more burst. Amaterasu is good go ahead, but she takes a bit too long to get online. Alquang, we are putting Alquang in the top tier. Definitely one of the top 5 junglers in the video game. He just provides too much burst. It's not inherently not necessarily the character. However, it's mostly the itemization, I'd say. And while I'm on the topic of Alquang, one of the very good features he has right now is countering tanks, because right now lots of laners they're building mitigations, and it's very very easy without Kwang to just burst them down and execute them. Having an execute for those mitigations of laners is very pivotal right now. Next, Arachne, complete garbage, don't play. She doesn't have burst, she takes too long to do things, her start is completely ruined with the new timers. And there isn't really any benefit. Like, none of the items are even really in her favor. She doesn't do great with the mace tree. So I would just stay away from, Arachne. Apollo, not burst oriented, I am also putting in garbage. There is better picks in every shape and form. He doesn't really benefit from the mace tree. He's gonna build like a traditional hunter, and hunters aren't as strong as, let's say, mage ADCs and mages right now. Even though the Quinn's buff is really nice, ADCs are viable in the dual lane. However, I would still not pick Apollo jungle. You're gonna have a real rough time ganking. Awilix, typical assassin, does burst damage, isn't one of the best per se. However, essentially all assassin junglers are strong. Well, the ones that do burst damage. Speaking about someone who doesn't do burst, Bakasura, he's being placed in garbage tier along with Arachne and Apollo. Can't do early ganks, doesn't get online, or, can't really gank until level 5. And late game, he is completely bursted down by every other jungler in the video game. Anyways, let's go to Bastet. Very difficult to where to put Bastet. But I'm going to say, I don't think she's necessarily a top 5. I think she's pretty close. Even though we're not seeing a high ban rate, but she has really good damage. She has really good mobility. And she has a very good ultimate. She's good ganking. She's good late game. The more I think about it here, yeah, actually, we'll revisit Bastet, but I will place her strong for now. I'm gonna see where I place everyone else. Kabrakan, magical-oriented jungler. However, the itemization is not in his favor. They took out a lot of hybrid bruiser items, which he benefited from. Right now, it's primarily Book of Thoth and that new tablet item for the true damage. With that being said, he doesn't really proc Soul Gem that great. And Soul Reaver, he could build better characters to build on, but chances are, if you're going full power bracking, you're building Soul Reaver anyways. So, with that being said, I am going to be placing Gabrakan with his friends in this tier just because he has some burst damage. Even though Dynamization's horrible, he does have burst damage. Now, Camazotz, weaker than the other assassins. I would probably put him in the lower end of strong. Still has burst damage, still works with the current itemization in the video game, so he is going over here. Chalk. Goes well with the current itemization, it goes very well, however, doesn't really put the necessary burst that other assassins bring to the table. I would still prefer a Chalk over any of these three. Very useful in team fights. Can arguably gank better pre-5 than all three of these. I'm going to put him on the lower end of below average. Chung. Chung, go Book of Thoth, can easily proc tablet. Has burst damage. A bit short range. Has like a lot of good movement speed. Not necessarily like a good jungler. I would put her below average, probably the lower end of below average here. Kleena. Kleena provides really insane burst. I would say she's arguably number 5 jungler. Dynamization's in her favor. She's burst oriented. She's good for objectives. She's good for ganks. She's honestly good all game around, honestly. Yeah. I'm going to put her top tier. Let's see. The next one on our list is Dodgy. We've already been through this, really. Dodgy's good with Hydras, burst-oriented, bait beads very easily, it goes in strong immediately. Erlong. Ever since they changed his kit, he hasn't been that great. Right now, he is mostly auto-attack oriented, but is very strange. I'm going to put him in... I really don't want to do this. However, I really think Erlong's just not great right now. I put him in the same tier as Arachne and Bakasura. Fen! Another top tier jungler. Insane burst, good cooldowns, has sustain, has essentially everything you want in a jungler. Good versus top picks right now in mid. Recently, and this is very recent, we've been seeing a lot of Thoth the past couple of days. And Fen is a great counter to Thoth. I'm not necessarily putting him godlike, but I will put Fen top tier. Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, we saw a fall off of him. He has some burst, but is conditional if they're near a wall, arguably, to get the kill. You know, it's environmental conditionals. Besides that, his one just does not do enough burst damage. You have too many auto attacks afterwards. I can't really warrant picking him right now. I will put him in below average. Ravana, also a top tier jungler god. A lot of burst damage and immunity. Can't really say anything else, really. He has good ganks. He's good all game around. Early game, he has like a 9-second cooldown on his one. It's insane. Ratatasker. Burst-oriented, and he is... Dynamization with him is okay. Not as good as other junglers. I guess he does benefit from the Odin's 20% early, so I guess it's pretty good. However, he is just a significantly worse Thor. And I feel like when playing him in the jungle, he's too risky, and he does not do good as any of these assassins, maybe except Camazotz. Well, Camazotz at least has some sustain. I have to say, in comparison to others, Ratatasker just is not as good right now. Hebo. you're dealing like 500 damage every 3 seconds with your one. You have 3 fucking ultimates, one of the best gods in the game. Got nerf its items, got nerf Soul Gem, nerf Reaver. Just nerf everything, honestly. Nerf the character too. Just ridiculous. Hades, actually, I'm putting him in good. Because burst oriented, clears camps very efficiently, and his ganks aren't the worst. I wouldn't necessarily say he's better than any of these junglers up here, but I would not put him with these junglers down here. I think he has more value. And, you know, you're thinking, well, he may not do as good with Book of Thoth as Bancrofts and other items. I would say you're probably right. However, I think right now, with how Hades works, and I saw Autospeed also playing Hades Jungle a while ago. It worked out pretty decently. You clear super efficiently, and your ganks aren't that bad, and your late game is insane. You're dealing massive damage. Especially your jungle fights. Like, the objectives fights are amazing. The next one, Odin. Team-oriented, probably more prioritizing comp. Not that great for ranked. For ranked, it's arguable. However, I am placing him below average. Because you have to carry games. A super conditional pick can be good or strong if picked into the right comps and picked with the right individuals. Let's see. Horus. Super, super, super underrated jungler. You guys are going to be like, really? However, I am placing it, not top tier, I am placing Horus in strong. He has a CC chain that is tremendous. He does great with Jotins because he has long cooldowns, or, you know, longer than other gods on his CC abilities. And he works phenomenal with Hydras too, because of the nature of his one. Honestly, this pick has to be picked up way, way more. Hunbats. Hunbats, teamfight oriented, has some burst, a bit outdated. Works with any type of build really, just because we're seeing a lot of CDR, and Hydras works well with Hunbats and his passive. I am going to be placing Hunbats in good. Not necessarily better than any of these picks, honestly, but he's alright. Kali. One of the exceptions right now, not that burst oriented besides the knives combo early. However, her items are still good. Quinn's just got a huge buff, and she is a ranked menace. Just because of that, like, you just W hold people for days, honestly. Next on the list we have Loki. For Loki, I would probably place Loki in strong as well. Not necessarily top tier. Provides a lot of good burst damage. And honestly, he is your typical assassin still. You're going to be building either Bluestone or Eye, into Jotins, into Hydras, into, you could go either Brawlers, or alternatively, you could go Power Spike item, and then you're going to have your Heartseeker, your Crusher, and or your Bloodforge. Jungler is Lancelot, another top tier jungler. I would place him. Well, I'm gonna just place them in order I see them. I think he is arguably the third best jungler right now, besides probably Hippo and Thor. He just does the highest damage, some of the highest scaling in the game, works great with Hydra's Lament, and is very difficult to kill him due to the nature of his story. If you are playing him properly, he is a top 3 jungler. If you don't know how to play him, I suggest you learn him immediately. The next one, Mercury. With the nerfs he had, well, he was, like, in win rate, I'm pretty sure he was number 1 or number 2 throughout 10.1. It is very difficult, but since this is primarily ranked, I think I'm going to have to put Mercury here in top tier. I think he's slightly overrated, but it's very difficult to get Mercury wards right now. He just ults down lane. It's honestly free ganks. Late game, we're still building crit. And, you know, even though the itemization for Mercury isn't that great right now, he could still shred people. Like, don't be mistaken. He still shreds people. I would put him on the lower end of top tier, though. And honestly, if I'm putting Mercury there, I'm putting Bastet there too. Fuck. If I'm putting Mercury there, I have to put Bastet. Speaking about our top tier, Naja is super underrated. He does a whole bunch of damage. His build pathing is slightly different. You're either going Bluestone or Eye the Jungle. I go Eye the Jungle, into Jotun's, into Hydras. Then you're probably going to get like a Deathbringer for the ultimate. The only character in the game that does that. And then you could build Power Spikes. And last item, if you're utilizing your auto attacks, you could go Dominance. It's honestly playstyle oriented. Last item could also be Magi's if you need it. It's very, very situational. However, this is also a top tier pick. Let's see. Nemesis, one of the worst junglers right now. Due to the nature of her ultimate, you could make her work by just ulting and being an ult bot. But building her like just full penetration and power, you can't really one-shot someone with your 2 and then like auto cancels. It just doesn't one-shot in comparison to other junglers right now. Let's see, Nike. Baron competitive, not that great in ranked. I would place her below average. If you have a Morgan, she's probably good. The same thing as I said about Chuck and the... I'm not saying the same thing I said about Gilga, but essentially Nike just doesn't do enough burst damage. Junglers, Osiris. Although attack junglers are garbage right now, I would recommend, or most of them, I shouldn't say all, most of them are. I would recommend playing against him. He is a warrior that relies on blades, katanas, and one of them recently, which he wasn't a super huge user of, Stone Cutting Sword, it was removed. Which blade is removed? He is not in a good state in the jungle right now. Or in the solo lane, honestly. Junglers, Poseidon. Honestly, Poseidon has slightly more burst than Chung, and he utilizes the items fairly well, so I am putting him in good. I wouldn't necessarily say he's better than any of these picks. However, he is a solid pick. Pele. Now I have a predicament. Do I put Kali in top tier, or do I put Kali in strong? We already have a whole bunch of top tiers, but if I'm being completely honest, Pele does kind of shred still, but I think she is significantly worse than any of the picks I put here. I think I put her, and I'm just moving her here because I think she should be the top of strong, but I would not say she should be top tier. Junglers, Morgan. For Morgan, I have to say, probably not super great right now, honestly. Just takes too long to get her damage off. However, if the other jungler is ahead, I can see very niche situations of you transforming into them to carry. So for that reason, I'm just putting Morgan below average. Set. Unless you're... I mean, I still think if you really know how to play Set, know how to gank at Set, you really don't need Blink. You go Beads. He does a shit ton of damage. He has a shit ton of healing. Brawlers is required against him. Contagion is required. 2 of those items still super good in the meta. If it was in different metas, maybe he'd be top tier, but I'm going to place him in strong for now. Junglers, Serket. Serket, one of the weaker junglers. However, she's still burst oriented, still does true damage, and she's still very mobile. I guess I wouldn't say she's worse than any of these picks, honestly. Maybe she could be arguably worse, but I'm going to put her on the lower end of good. Vamana. He is a ranked menace. You literally just W hold as Vamana. Click W, click left click, and you kill people. You build auto attack oriented, typically. For that reason, I'm placing him in strong. Thor, second best jungler in the game. It is very difficult to ward for Thor ult. Thor ult combo just one-shots you. He's good at all stages of the video game. Even now, his 1 through 3 is really good now since his wall does damage. Wall, one of the best abilities in the game. Has a stun, you could block pathings with it. Does damage, it's just really good. And it's the strongest wall in the game. You can say, well, Umoja. Well, Umoja is an ultimate. You know, Thor's cooldown is like that, you know? You know if you know. Thanatos. Similar to all the other ones in top tier, does a whole bunch of damage. Avantos joins all his brethren and Kleena for top tier junglers. A combo of his one-shots, the only thing he has to look out for is Aegis is really good against him, and you have to make sure if you ult as Stana, if they Aegis, wait for the Aegis to AA 1 AA, you know? AA means auto attack. It's your basic attack, essentially. Now, with all that being said, there is 2 more gods here. Interesting. And what I'm going to do here is... So, Suku got massive buffs, and Suku is one of the gods I would say, actually, I would not go out of the jungle, I would go Bluestone, because Brooch late game with his spikes is actually so good now. Suku, before his buffs, he was probably near below average, but now he's leaning more towards strong. Very good god in the video realm. And the last jungler to look at is Susanoo. And Susanoo is being placed top tier. Massive burst-oriented damage, same as the other assassins. Great ganks, great team fight, and a pretty solid early game. I wouldn't necessarily say stronger than others. Especially his level 5 is weaker than a couple of others here. Disregarding maybe the Ao Kuang. I would say Susanoo probably has the weakest level 5 here. Maybe Ao Kuang and Mercury. And, you know, I would say Susanoo performs just as well as Mercury in late game, if not better currently, with Diamondization being in his favor. Anyways, this is my jungle tier list. Garbage, below average, good, strong, top tier, and godlike. Anyways, if you liked the video, leave a thumbs up. Smash that like button and subscribe. Have a good day. Adios.